Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Locke Vincent and we are here at the end of 2013 and I want to give out some awards to the games that didn't necessarily make my top 10 list, but I still wanted to give some recognition because they might have just missed the mark or they just have something outstanding that they did very well that I think they should be known for, or just letting you guys know about some of the games that I really either wanted to put on my list or just something that they did really well. Anyways, that's what this video is all about. We're going to go through 10 different categories and some good things, some bad things like biggest disappointment, stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get to the first category. I am a sucker for a great story in a game. It's why we play games. They tell us stories that we can be a part of and immerse ourselves in. And this year, one game stood out for me, and that was BioShock Infinite. The story that Irrational and Ken Levine crafted was just something that blew my mind. And doing that within this world that they created with these crazy ideals and having everything come full circle with an amazing ending, I just couldn't get enough of it, and they did a very good job. I won't spoil anything because I think everyone should be playing BioShock Infinite and just getting that, and even if it didn't have the greatest combat, I mean, they know how to tell a story and create a world and get you to believe that you are in that world. So, best story this year was BioShock Infinite. Alright, so when we're talking about best art direction, not necessarily looking at the most polygons, how much polish is on something, but it can also go to a game that does something really cool. Like, I mean, 8-bit art is really neat, and if it's done well, it can look amazing. Or if there's a distinctive visual style, you know, cell shading or animation, it can go like that. But this year, a special game called Remember Me was just visually stunning for me, and it sits in the back of my mind as a game that was a bit lacking. It was very linear, this action platformy brawler. It was very linear, but it was just the world that they created with Neo Paris, this cyberpunk Neo Paris, was really cool. The world was apparent and it appeared before you. You had this sensen in the back of your mind that allowed text to pop up and give you information. It was full of life, even though it was all robots and not very many humans. It was pretty cool. Remixing memories, it dealt with that, and that was just astonishing. And really, there's a lot of cool things that you can do when you're going inside someone's mind, and the guys at Don't Nod Studios did that with Remember Me, and it was just one of the most beautiful games and I've played, and that's why it gets my best art direction for 2013. Alright, I did not play too many bad games this year, which is an awesome thing. That's always good to hear. But I did have high hopes for a game called Anarchy Reigns, and it was terrible. That's why it gets my biggest disappointment this year. It's really too bad because I'm a huge fan of Platinum Games, and they are masters of the B-tier game, except Bayonetta. That's just over and above everything. Anyways, they are great at brawling games, and Anarchy Reigns was shaping up and looking to be like this over-the-top brawler where you could powerbomb helicopters into giant sea monsters, and it just fell apart for me. It didn't play very well. It didn't look good. It looked like a last-gen game, and really, it was just not enough. It wasn't up to par of what I know Platinum could do, and that's why it was my biggest disappointment of 2013. Surprise of the year. This year, one game stood out for me that I wasn't expecting, and that was Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I had Far Cry 3 Vanilla on my top 10 last year. I really loved it, and I thought the world was cool, but then you take that and replace it all with this 80s cyberpunk with synth in the background for music, and it was insane. Like, I didn't expect them to make a standalone product that piggybacked on Far Cry 3. I would almost say surpassing what Far Cry 3 did. And they did that in like 6 months. It was nuts. It came out really early in the year, and I loved it. It was so cool to see that, and was not expecting that, especially since Far Cry 3 did very well, and just to go above and beyond the call of the jungle and giving you lasers and metal dinosaurs instead of jaguars. So, surprise of the year goes to Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Oh, we had some good times with friends this year. There were a lot of great cooperative games to play, but my favorite was Risk of Rain. Yes, that's right, the roguelike slash RPG slash action platformer slash class-based. It's a gaming buffet. This menagerie of genres it was nuts, and they pulled it off. Risk of Rain is really cool on your own, but it is immensely better with friends. Get a group of 4 and you will see what I'm talking about. You're fighting space monsters, going through teleporters, fighting waves of enemies, trying to survive, getting to the end, just grabbing items, sharing, talking, yelling, running, and being able to combine all the different classes into this cool A-team. There's nothing like it, and you got that soundtrack and that stunning lo-fi art style. It's a really, really great game. Make sure you play this with some buddies, because it is just awesome. I've never seen a roguelike where you can play with friends, so go check it out. Alright, the best sound design is a tough category for me, because you have to choose between like a great horror game that had amazing environmental and ambient effects, and then the plethora of amazing game soundtracks, and it's tough, but there was a game that stood out because it did something different, and it blended so well with what you were doing, and that was Gunpoint. Gunpoint is a stealth action puzzle game, where you're playing as this guy getting caught up in a conspiracy, but while you're doing this, while you're sort of hacking away with your crosslink, you are just graced with this jazz, this noir jazz, and it's coming in with horns and pianos, and it just feels so good, and you feel like an undercover detective sitting there in a dusky room, smoking a cigarette, waiting for a client to come in. It's great. The soundtrack is available online, on Steam, on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, that sort of thing. Check it out. If you haven't played the game, grab it. I think the soundtrack comes with it, but it's just fun to listen to. Amazing music to work to if you like to have music on while you're working on projects and stuff, and just something really cool. It's very different. It wasn't something I'd heard before, so I'm not all into the jazz music, to be honest with you, but this just did it for me. So Gunpoint, best sound this year. Alright, the best multiplayer game of the year was an easy choice for me, and that's Dota 2. I logged over 600 hours into this damn game, and I will tell you why. It's because I grew up playing team sports, and this game emulates that feeling so well. There's nothing like coordinating with a well-oiled machine and going against another team that knows what they're doing, or sometimes they don't, but really it's all about that teamwork and having a strategy and having sound decisions, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This game is not for everybody, but I just love it so much that you can go in and you'll see, if you play with randoms, you're not going to have the same experience as if you play with friends. Going and vice versa, on the other side of things, it's much better to play against another competitive team, because when you play with sort of a mishmash of people, it's not a great experience for both sides. So great competitive game, high learning curve, and again, like I said, it's not for everyone, but that's okay, because it's a game where you can put in a lot of time, and there's always room to learn, and everything is changing, so it's a lot of fun. 2013 was crazy for Dota for me, but again, it gets my multiplayer award this year. Alright, the game that you probably missed this year but shouldn't have. You should feel bad about missing this one. It's Guacamelee, the luchador Metroidvania Mexican folklore game by Drinkbox Studios. A great little title for the PlayStation Vita, PS3 crossplay, and now for PC. You have no excuses not to play this game. It's awesome. It's a tight little package and really has everything going for it. Music, sound, art style, fun exploration, great combat, and really, if you don't play this, I'm gonna come and suplex you into the land of the dead, because I don't know what else to say. So, go play this. Alright, the best remake for 2013. I really wanted this to go to Shadowrun Returns, but unfortunately, it didn't hit as hard as Tomb Raider. That's right, Lara Croft is back in her reimagining, remake, whatever you want to call it, but this game was an awesome experience. It barely just got cut off of my top 10, but I really have to stress how good of a game this is. You know, Metroidvania elements and just a believable character, great story, fun combat, and great exploration. It's a complete package. And Tomb Raider, it's awesome to see this franchise come back after being run into the ground and, being, hypersexualized. It's great to see Lara back in full force. So, Tomb Raider was the best remake in 2013. No doubt about it. Awesome, awesome game. Go play it. The award for Best New IP is pretty interesting because we're seeing less and less new stuff from big AAA games and more new stuff from indie developers, which is really cool because it definitely widens the pool of stuff to pick from. But a thing that I wanted to make sure that everyone checked out and just that really hit home with me was Rogue Legacy. And the reason I say that this is the best new IP is because they took a formula that not everyone can get into, which is the roguelike genre, where you go and if you die, you lose everything. And they kind of spun that around. They gave you something. Even though you died, you got something out of it. And even though you had to start from scratch with a new character, you got to sort of build that character with the lineage, and they did it in a very interesting way with the different heirs and your children going in after you. So I thought Rogue Legacy did a service to not only that genre, but they pulled it off in a beautiful way. It's a beautiful game, amazing art style again, and it's just fun. It's just so fun to go in and try another, and you can get on one of those runs where you get so close and then just do something dumb and you die. So it's okay, because you got a bunch of gold that you can put towards your guy and level up. So, best new IP is Rogue Legacy. Alright, so there you have it, folks. Some fun awards for some great games and some not so great games. But I really had a lot of fun for putting this list together. And I mean, you know what? There is a ton of games that could fit into each of those categories. So let me know what your picks would be for each of those categories. There's 10 of them, so that's another, sort of top 10 list that you can throw together if you want to do that. Would love to hear what you guys thought for each of those different categories, because it's such a relative set of things, whether it's art, sound, multiplayer, co-op, all those different things are relative, so I love hearing what people think about the games they're playing. So thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love entertaining everyone and just having an outlet to let you guys know how my year went in games. And once again, if you haven't watched the Game of the Year video, go check that out. It's a fun video. Go through my top 10 of the year, and it was cutthroat. It was tough to put that together. There was probably easily 15 to 20 games I could have put on that list. So click on the link there, and again, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait for the next year. We got new consoles, we got tons of PC games, we got Steam boxes coming out. It's going to be a great year. So go check out the site, follow me on Twitter, start a conversation, play some games, hug a friend, do all that good stuff. I'll catch you guys later. I'm out.